want to talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You want to talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Solomon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
Former Police Chief Steve Davis, lawman extraordinaire, and from, shall we say, a far distance, we have our friend Brent Johnson, well-known international journalist. Brent, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, and I also want to remind the listeners, if I may, to check out the new look to our website at www.freedomradio.us, or you can give me a call toll-free at 888-385-3733, 888-385-FREE.
Well said. All right, well, we don't have Dr. Keys right now, so we're going to talk about some topics, and we'll see if he's going to join us. I think this is an amazing story. In the great state of Wyoming, in Laramie, the Wyoming Highway Patrol says a 79-year-old man, William Kieran, was trying to get a wounded rabbit off of the road. And in the process, someone ran over him and killed him, tragically. Now, this is a true story, and obviously it's a tragedy. A nice man has lost his life. But it's also a kind of an example of our society. While trying to help an injured rabbit who's going to die anyway, we're getting run down. And we're seeing this left to right. There's another story of a man, again, an elderly man, 76, was ready for this in his own backyard. And a large bear came after him, was chasing him. Now, why? Whether the bear was hungry, crazy, or had deposited its cubs somewhere on his property, no one knows. But this man ran like hell to his porch, grabbed his shotgun, turned around, and blammo, and killed the bear. He's now being prosecuted because he was told he's not as important as the bear. I'll start with you, Chief.
Well, this is an example of our government at its finest. So first of all, because he had a bird feeder in his yard, they were claiming that he lured the bear into his yard. And also they were charging him with some type of a firearms violation because that state does not follow the Constitution and they have unconstitutional gun laws. But this is another example. We've talked about it before on this show. If you ever use a firearm, you must keep your mouth shut because you might do the right thing and explain it poorly. So you're entitled to legal counsel, and you're not required to talk to the police. So if this happens to you, something like this happens to you, you have to defend yourself. By all means, defend yourself, but don't talk to the police until you've talked to a lawyer so you can explain your actions properly.
And let's listen to that. If you don't defend yourself, you're very likely going to be dead. Everyone will feel bad, maybe. If you defend yourself, some will be glad, some will be sad, but you will be alive. So that's step one in the process.
Yep.
Step two in the process is eliminate the urge to get diarrhea of the mouth. Repeat after me. On advice of counsel, I respectfully refuse to discuss this issue without my lawyer present. Now, there's not a police officer in America that can do anything but say, okay, we'll wait for your lawyer. They call it lawyering up, right?
That's a good term for it. And it's a good thing to do if you're ever involved in something like this, because this case illustrates that there are law enforcement officers out there that will use any means necessary to say, oh, you fit into this category of a law violation, and stick it on you.
Brent?
Yeah, and what you didn't mention about this story is the fact that the regulatory agency around protecting bears said to the guy after he shot the bear, "You should have called us and had us come down. That would have been the proper thing to do."
You should
Now,
have called
you're
us.
standing there with this 300, 400-pound bear coming after you, and excuse me, bear, I have to make a phone call. Yeah, right.
Yeah, or they'll be there in a couple days, or maybe in a week. All right. Well, what you do is you say, look, just to make sure I understand, we're going to restage this event. I'll get another bear. I'm going to put you where I was, and let's see how it works.
Good
All right.
idea. Good idea, Stan.
Don't you like that? That's original. By the way,
Yeah.
I have the official Talk to Solomon salute for these officials. Okay. Now,
That's a good defense strategy. I'd like to see that on court TV.
yeah. All right. An MSNBC host, a black lady who has a bunch of names, Melissa Harris Perry, says, and I heard her say this. I was going to play it, but I didn't make the request in time. She said, and let's see if I can actually read the quote, "We have to break through our private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families." She's a professor of political science at Tulane, by the way. She said, once we get past that, we will realize we'll make better investments in government indoctrination of children. Hello? All right, I'll just start with you, Chief.
I think it's great that we finally hear a liberal that's using the true words. This isn't buttered up or covered with some kind of sauce, and it's not been treated to by some script writer to use words that's going to fool us. These are what they really believe.
But this was actually a researched, thought about, agreed upon promotion. It wasn't just something she said in the heat of the moment. This is a promo they're running on that station.
Right, but this is what they believe, and they believe this is normal. It's normal for them, but they finally let it out in their version, which means that they believe in socialism. They believe in communism. They believe that children belong to the state, and they're going to teach them what they want to teach them, and they're going to do what they want with them, and parents are just some objects that get in the way.
Amazing. I think we're getting Dr. Keys, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll work on that. We'll have him in just a moment. Brent, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this is more of the idiocy of the bureaucracy. This is Hillary's, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, but this is the right word. They didn't use village, they used
absolute
the collective.
Communism in its most glaring form. And so, the real question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to live in a communist society or do you want to live in a free society? If you want to live in a communist society, what she says is absolutely correct. If you want to live by the law, if you want to live by the Constitution, then she should be thrown in jail, in my opinion.
For impersonating an intelligent life form. All right, do we have Dr. Keys? We're still trying.
But what Brent just illustrated is exactly what this story means to me, is that village is a nice word we can accept. It goes down smoothly.
It's an old African proverb.
But she didn't use that. She talked about the collective, about the indoctrination of children. She used the flat-out words that Hillary's using nice words to say the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Melissa Harris Perry is regurgitating the Obama concept of you didn't build that. You didn't raise your kids. We, society, raised your kids.
Are you at home?
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. All right.
Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing about how you didn't create your business. I mean, if you have a successful business, it's not due to your efforts. It's due to government's efforts and society's efforts in supporting it.
I'm going to call you on your cell.
Harris Perry urges us to break through the private idea that individuals own themselves. Like Marx, she believes the individual is a communal being and all human worth is intractably linked to the community. Does that sound familiar? It's kind of like one for all and all for one, and humans. You remember, I'm old. Brent's not quite as old, and Steve's not quite as old, but most of us are older. So we remember things called personnel departments. You don't have personnel departments anymore. You have human resource departments. because human beings are just another resource to be managed, to be arranged or rearranged, to be enlarged
Or eliminated.
Exactly. And that is not. Now,
Karl
this
Marx would
lady
be
has a
proud.
project called the Anna Julia Cooper Project on Gender, Race, and Politics in the South, where all white folks are bad and all black folks are saints, none of which is always true on either side. But that's how they would have you think. And I just cannot believe that this kind of communist, godless, and this lady's probably a homosexual. I don't know that as fact, but my guess is that, because that's how homosexuals normally think, that and that's how abortionists think. We're going to talk about that Dr. Gosnell trial here as soon as we get Dr. Keys. All right. There is a story out of Connecticut. Now, we've heard the one big story out of Connecticut, the killing of all those, precious children by this more and more deranged person. By the day, there's more and more mental problems that they have. Do we have him now? All right, we have him on the cell? Yes. Alan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Stan?
Just fine. Thank you for finding a way to get to us. We always appreciate having you with us. We were talking about this Melissa Price Harris lady who made that incredible comment. We have to break through our private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families, and understand that kids belong to the country, to the community, to the government, to the society. Your thoughts?
Well, Stan, it's actually a point in the agenda that these people have been pursuing forever. I mean, it's there in the Communist Manifesto and in other places. And it's also there in the practice of the communist socialist regimes, which have, when they get full control and totalitarian power, they immediately start to take children out of their homes, educate them as little wards of the state. But what I've been trying to get people to see for some years is that they're pursuing this agenda in America first by destroying that which is the foundation, both of our understanding of natural right and property, and also of our social structure, and that is the family. That has been the whole point, and I wrote a piece about it today. If people go to LoyalToLiberty, they can read it. I put it up in response to Rush Limbaugh saying that the battle was over and all this junk, but also in light of what was then a breaking story I'll be talking about in my piece on Friday, the one we're talking about. And the point is very simply this. The aim of the whole business with promoting homosexuality has nothing to do with just homosexuals and their so-called freedom and so forth and so on. The aim is to take the family out of the sphere of God-endowed right and put it in the sphere of government-fabricated right, so that the whole idea of family becomes a construct of government power. Once they have done that, the authority of parents no longer has an antecedent prior claim, a claim prior to government, prior to the Constitution, prior to all human institutions whatsoever, because it comes directly and in our very nature from God. If you ask yourself the simple question, how does a child come to belong to the parent and a parent come to belong to the child? Those belongings are determined by our nature as determined by God. It's an exact, direct, immediate example of what we mean by natural obligation. And when parents respond to that obligation in conscience from God, they do what is right and they exercise their natural rights. And those rights include authority over the child's upbringing so long as they fulfill their responsibility as parents. So if they do right, they have the right. I've been trying to explain this because it's the perfect understanding of what rights are all about. They do not begin with freedom. They begin with the voluntary acceptance, which is, of course, a free decision, of an obligation from God. And the paradigm of that is the family and that first acceptance of responsibility for the child by the parent. And the whole notion that children belong to the community as a whole is a lie from hell. And it not only should be rejected because of what it does to the family, it should be rejected because it destroys the whole foundation of the American understanding of liberty.
Well, I agree with that. I want to talk about the hypocrisy of the left, because in Connecticut, listen to this, 2 homosexual men, ready, were allowed to adopt 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boys. Now, guess what? They found out that they had raped some of the boys. So they went to trial. This was 2 years ago. Listen to this agreement. No jail time, no felonies, and they didn't know if they'd even have to register as sex offenders. And they got to keep the boys. Does that sound? Well, you see, they want to keep the family together. Now, I know my gut feel that we need a weed whacker and 30 seconds with each of these sons of pups. Don't mean to demean pups. But this is how liberals think. These are the same kind of people in Connecticut that want to take the guns away from all of America because some disturbed kid did a terrible thing, and because they were such morons, they didn't have any armed people to protect their kids. But they're going to let these 2 sick, disgusting, filthy, nasty pieces of garbage walk after raping adopted boys. And hell no, they'll probably give them a 10th boy, because you know what? Diversity. These guys need diversity. Chief?
Well, again, this is an example, in my opinion, of the bait and switch tactic. And so we get focused on these men and these poor boys, but that's really not the issue. The issue was mentioned just previous to this. It's the destruction of the American family. And so this case was going to get in the way of the left's ability to get rid of the American family, because this is an example of how the American family, the traditional family, is very important. And so, and also in the story, there's a conspiracy here, because the caseworker failed to mention some of the additional abuses that took place and said, I thought that was all included in the first testimony or whatever.
Sure.
Because if these men are prosecuted as rapists of boys that they've adopted, then that's just going to interfere with the left's ability to promote more homosexual families and more homosexual this, more homosexual that, and also destroy the traditional American family. That's their goal.
Brett? Do we have Brett? Sure. I can't hear Brett. Maybe he's on mute.
I know. I'm right here. Sorry.
Oh, go
what
ahead.
I was saying was I thought that they should do a Lorena Bobbitt on those 2.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. Only I'd have done...
with the
I
weed
wouldn't have bobbed it. I would have eliminated all thoughts, traces, or even ideas of it.
Well, but you see, this is the kind of thing where the people themselves should be out there up in arms against the prosecutor, against the caseworker, against the judge. This is the point at which the people should say, this is not justice. We are not going to accept this justice. This is wrong, fundamentally wrong, and we're going to do something since you, the government, have failed in your duty. It's us that you're supposed to be representing. You're doing a poor job of it. We will take the law back into our own hands where it rightfully belongs.
Dr. Keys.
Well, Sam, I think that though a lot of folks don't realize it, that kind of abuse that you're talking about is the whole aim of the promotion of things like homosexual marriage. Because the idea of right that is based in the Declaration, rights that come from God, that are unalienable because they are part and parcel of how God made us as human beings. Those rights then not only determine the things that people do, they determine the obligations, or they are determined by the obligations from which those activities arise. So you have a kind of natural limitation because of the standard of right constituted by God's will as expressed in our nature. When you let the government fabricate rights, such as the homosexual right to marry. No basis in nature. No basis in the endowment of God of our nature. No limitations, therefore, based on how we fulfill the obligation to God, which is entailed by that relationship between the parent and the child and the parent. None of these features of natural rights are involved. What that means, of course, Stan, is that in its very nature, this is an arbitrary fabrication. And it means that government is no longer limited, and the powers of government no longer limited in their use to the securing of what is right. Instead, they can be used to give sanction to what is wrong, to what is obviously wrong, to what is repulsively wrong. And at the end of the day, government goes from being government about justice and liberty to being just a government that's just about power and about the freedom those in power have to abuse the law and to abuse all those who are subject to an understanding of law that is indistinguishable from the arbitrary action that is backed by superior power. It returns us to the dark ages of human oppression, which America was founded to remove humanity from, and it is the whole point of the push for homosexual marriage and homosexual rights. The aim is not compassion for homosexuals, respect for homosexuals and all of this. The aim in the minds of these hard-headed, calculating, leftist, communist totalitarians is to destroy the family and to establish the notion that once you have seized power, there is no limit whatsoever to what you can do. And if you want to tolerate abuses, then those abuses can be imposed upon the people. Once you establish that, the abuses are not going to be confined to egregious outrages like this. Those abuses are going to be committed against the whole society, and they will, in the end, include the murder of the masses, as occurred in all communist regimes that existed, and that include as well the expropriation of all property. Since if you don't respect the primordial, God-endowed belongings that are associated with family life, why on earth would you be constrained to respect any other form of human property claim?
Well said. And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with Dr. Alan Keyes, Brent Johnson of freedomradio.us, Chief Steve, and me. This is Talk to Solomon. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com. Check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get supercolloidal silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's the kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.